they all say. That's right, I'ma do this thing my way. Let's go. Been grinding hard on it all day. Okay, we work hard, then we all play. Yeah, I'm addicted to the grind, man. That's right, so I refuse to waste time, man. Yeah, one day it all will be fine, man. Let's go, gotta commit to the climb.
Yeah, so we're launching the largest financial literacy movement in history. That's our goal. That's the vision. We're well on the way. The company's called Gravy Stack. It is the first bank for kids and teens that plays like a game, because the only way kids actually learn about money is through fun and real life experience. You can't homework your way to money. This is why schools, everybody rails against the school system, and they're like, I wish my kids are learning these practical money skills in school. Why aren't they teaching like kids how to do taxes and monthly budgeting and balancing a checkbook, blah, blah, blah. Well, you can't homework your way to it. And you think a teacher making 50 grand is going to know all the ins and outs of financial competency skills? No, like it's just not something you can do in the hypothetical. You have to practice earning money and saving it and spending it wisely and sharing it generously and investing it, right? You have to do it with real money. And that's why we're building Gravy Stack. So it's Stack Your Gravy. It's a banking and investing app with 100 games that kids play. By the time they're done, they never ask mom and dad for money again. They know how to earn it. They're fully financially competent and ready to go.
So that's focused on what age group? Is there an age group for kids, or it could just be young adults all the way down?
Well, it's 6 and up. So the games, you can play them as parents with your kids. They're like mini games about wants and needs and budgeting and like taxes and real estate and insurance and how to protect yourself online. But kids 6 and up can play them. So usually it's our average age is like 10 to 16, but kids as young as 6 can sign up and get going with the whole home economy system. It's a huge fix for the allowance problem. It helps kids earn money in the home and cover like their expenses starting at age 6. And then we also have college kids playing Gravy Stack. We have parents playing with their kids. There's one of these, we're kind of solving a lot of problems at once. But one of the biggest ones is, in all of our work with parents, we've helped millions of families now learn financial skills to pass on to their kids. Well, parents feel a little bit of shame and guilt, right? They don't know it. We surveyed 1,000 parents when we started all this, and they're like, I don't know what to teach my kids. I don't know what to tell them in what order. And these are like across the spectrum, millionaire, multimillionaire families, people just trying to cover groceries. Like neither of them know how to teach it. They might know the skills, but they don't know how to pass it on to their kids, even if their kids are going to listen half the time, right? So you have to find a way to make it fun for them, make it intrinsically motivating. That's why it has to be a gaming system. So it's really fun games mixed with real life challenges. And as the kids start playing inside of the account, they're starting to learn all the principles of investing and the principles of delayed gratification and personal responsibility and grit and, creating value in the world and learning to earn money and then use it wisely. So that's kind of the secret sauce of Gravy Stack, is we're kind of solving those parent problems of, I don't have money conversations with my kids. I don't know what to talk about at the dinner table. So we tee them up with like really good questions and all that kind of stuff right through the app.
Yeah. So let's talk about a couple of those things. So why are these parents? Because we're in the United States of America, which is claimed to be the richest country on the planet.
Yeah.
So where's this lack of financial knowledge for these adults, the parents, coming from? In other words, do they not learn it from school? Did they not learn it from their parents? Why is there such a big gap and a hole in this topic?
Well, schools aren't teaching it. That's the first thing. It's just not in the curriculum. And even if, there are about 17 states that are trying to pass legislation and curriculum about personal finance. But again, how is a 10th grade teacher going to get you ready? You have to do it in the real world. It starts at home. And then banks don't care about kids. You think banks care? I mean, they only make money when you have money to deposit, right? And they make their money when you're actually kind of bad at banking, credit card issues and overdraws. And so banks actually don't really even care at all about the next generation until their parents create their bank accounts and they just keep going. And so there's a real issue if parents don't know what to say or do and pass it on, and schools don't do it and banks don't do it. Well, there's a massive hole. And so, the stats show themselves. Less than 1 in 4 22-year-olds are financially independent. Okay. Despite most of their parents thinking that they would be by that age. And if you're like, well, it's because those kids went to college to kind of try to grow up for 4 more years. That's not true either, because the same percentage of kids that are not financially independent they fail a basic financial literacy test by the age of 25, right? It's like 76% of them failed a basic test. And they just did a huge study on this for Forbes. And so they're just not learning these skills. And that's why credit card debt went up 40% last year alone for Gen Z. And like, the stats are crazy. I mean, they don't trust the market. They've been through COVID and 2 crises. And, the biggest social media influencers in the world for teenagers are like day traders, pump and dump, crypto trade, get rich quick schemes. And these kids fall prey to it. And then they lose $500. And then the problem is not that they lost a few $100s. The problem is now they don't trust any investing. They don't trust a diversified portfolio of real estate, life insurance. They don't trust any of it, ETFs. They don't trust the market. And so they're just like, forget it. I'm going to cover well, they won't cover their expenses. They'll just go into debt and try to have experiences be their way of life and just enjoy things and not plan for the long term. So that's the problem. And then you mix that with all the instant gratification out there with social media and Amazon Prime and Netflix at your fingertips, YouTube. They just don't think delayed. They think instant. That's why it's going the wrong direction. And so parents are spinning. They're like, I want to make sure my kids get ahead. Want to make sure that they're not entitled or spoiled. Want to make sure that they're like ready for the world. And they don't know where to go for the answer. So that's what we're providing, is the answer.
Yeah, that's quite a challenge. Because are the parents, the questions I have, are the parents even disciplined themselves?
No.
Are they seeking out that knowledge that Gravy Stack and other resources may be able to provide? And are they trying to teach their kids information that they didn't have when they were growing up?
Yeah.
So how do you reach through these parents and to the kids when there's TikTok and YouTube Shorts and all these, all these short attention span, kind of carrots out there that are fighting for the attention of the children?
Yeah. And the main thing here is making it fun, right? Gravy Stack's a really fun game. The kids have an intrinsic motivation to play and learn along, but then the game actually takes them into the home to help mom and dad. So as they play these mini games, they get these avatars and characters. They're earning grits. This is like the fake currency in the game. They're competing with their friends on leaderboards. But then there's actually a real bank account here with a save, spend, and share, and a money machine that shows the flow of all the money they're making. They're doing gigs in the home to earn money to cover their expenses. They have their expectations, which are the free things that they're not getting paid for. Like, I'm not going to pay my kids to brush their teeth and make their bed and clean their room and dishes and trash, but I'll pay them to like pump up the tires or make a meal or do a bunch of yard work or clean a bathroom or those types of things, right? You should be paying your kids, because if you pay for everything for them and just make them do all their chores, then they're not learning financial competency either. So you have to actually create this home economy system. And so we made it an automated cadence in the home, like literally a weekly printout for the fridge of what the kids can be doing. It's like check, check, check right there in the app, in the bank account. And the kids get paid every week on a payday. Then they have their expenses that they're planning for. Like, it's just this whole system built in to make parents' lives way easier. And I think a lot of parents have this, like shame or guilt around it. They don't want to talk about money with their kids. They don't know how to talk about it. And if they're not financially competent themselves, they're even more averse to it. And so with us, you don't have to know anything. You could just jump right in, start playing with your kids, letting them enjoy it, learn alongside of them, create the home economy system, and then they just build these skills on their own. That's the beauty of it, right? Like, everyone else is like, take this course, read this book, do more homework. You think the kid's going to do that on a Saturday? No. Okay. They have to have something fun, and they have to have something that's like really practical, really real world experience. So like, here's a good example. Level 1 in the game is Savings Beach, right? This gecko takes you through these 10 games, and you're trying to like free the people of Windfall from the greedy tyrant Weasel. It's actually a weasel. His name's Greedymon and all of his henchmen. So it's like super fun. And they do like a few mini games, but then the first challenge in the real world is a subscription hunt. So the kids are actually going to cancel mom and dad's subscriptions that they don't want or need. And the average family that's playing Gravy Stack right now saves $547 average playing that one game. They're canceling actual subscriptions.
And
The
that's
kids
in the real world.
in
So,
the
so
real
the
world.
kids have a task inside the app, and their
Yep.
task is to go through different subscriptions that their parents have in real life,
Yep.
figure out which ones are not needed, and cancel those, thereby saving money in the real world.
Yeah, that's right. And then they bring their results back with a selfie with mom and dad to prove that they did it, because the parent, they validate. And then they put that picture right there, and it goes on the wall of the otter's hut. And they earn the awards for that mission, and they keep moving on to more games. So you just keep progressing through these levels. So it's like super fun meets like super practical. And then like 3 games later, they're doing couponing. We teach them 4 ways to get coupons for the next grocery run. So the kids are saving their parents 26% on the next grocery bill average right now, because the parents are so busy. They don't have time to look at their statements. Most parents never look at their statements, and then they don't go through the work to get savings on groceries. And if they do, they should pass that on to their kids and give them half the savings as like a gig, right? So it's just a ton of that stuff. Taxes and monthly budgeting planning. The kids are playing the next family trip on a budget in one of the games. Like it's just like 100 of those. So really like creative, really practical stuff that's a no-brainer that you're like, oh man, I wish my spouse was doing these games. I wish I had this when I was a kid. It's just all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exposure to money and budgeting, generating revenue, which is from my perspective be more important than budgeting, which is restricting expenses. There's unlimited amount of revenue in the world. You could only reduce expenses so much. So how important, and we all went through COVID. I remember, and I was in California at the time. I remember walking through the aisle in the supermarket right when COVID was hitting its peak. Everyone was scared. And I was in the water aisle. It was completely empty, but there was some sort of product in the center of the aisle. So I made my way to the center of the aisle, and I look at what's there, and it's coconut water. But the coconut water is much more expensive than the regular water. So all the water was gone in the entire aisle except for this column of coconut water. So while I'm there, I see other people coming down the aisle from both directions. They're looking at the shelf. They're checking the price, and then they're leaving without any product, without the water. So everyone was just bypassing this. They said in their minds, I can't afford it, or it's not for me. And they passed it in the middle of an emergency. So in their mind, this is an emergency. It was peak fear, everything. And they couldn't afford the water. So how important is money? Is it a luxury today in 2023, or is it more of a necessity because it provides you access to life essentials like water, for example?
Yeah, like one of the main things people realize as they start to play Gravy Stack is, money's a tool. That's all it is. It's not an idol. It shouldn't be the thing you focus on your whole life, but it ends up being the thing that most people focus on to try to cover bills and have enough. And they think that gives them the security they want. And the truth is, it's just a tool for freedom. And you can either be mastered by it, or you can be its master. And you have to learn the core skills of money to be able to have it not run your life, to be able to free you up to pursue the life you want to live, pursue your dreams, have the purpose you want to fulfill in life, your relationships, have the freedom of time, right? Like it's a critical skill to learn. And if you don't learn it, it's just going to end up running your life. And so for us, we try to teach families like, look, money is one of those big blockers in life, unless you can really make it work for you, right? You become in charge of the money, and you are able to use it for making your life better, right? And so that's what a lot of these games are. It's like the core skills. We have 10 levels in the game: save, spend, share, earn, invest, protect, which is protecting yourself and online security, teaching kids safe online use. But it's also insurance and taxes, like protecting. And then borrowing, the issues of borrowing, like what is borrowing, the value, creating value in the world, how to create something from nothing in a job or entrepreneurship, creating value, and then skills and traits of financial freedom. So it's 100 games, and then it's moving to 1,000 games afterwards about every practical skill kids need to have. Persuasion, negotiation, public speaking, real estate, taxes, car maintenance, for goodness sakes, kitchen skills. Like, we want to make all the things that aren't taught in schools that are super important for real life, we want to gamify inside of Gravy Stack. And so money is one of those things where, that survey I mentioned earlier where we talked to the parents, we also talked to the kids, 1,000 of them. Guess what they said? They said, we don't want to talk about money. It's the biggest fight in the home. Parents they have two things that they fight over: sex and money. Sex isn't fought over in front of the kids. That's a private thing. Money happens all the time, and they don't realize that they're passing on these negative identities around money. It's like, we can't afford that. You know how hard I work for that? Money doesn't grow on trees. We can't. There's no way we can pay for that. Did you forget to pay that bill again? You wasted this. You know how much this cost me to do? And you guys, blah, blah, blah. That stuff kids hear all the time. And so we need to have like healthy money conversations at home around the dinner table and really teaching our kids these disciplines. And if the parents don't know them themselves, we laugh about this. We're teaching the parents just as much as we're teaching the kids in here, right? And it's being done in a fun way. So nobody gets like called out. Nobody feels like guilty or fearful or shameful. Like, they just get to have fun learning alongside their kids. And if you're not saving, hundreds and hundreds of dollars in the first month of using Gravy Stack, we're like, money back guarantee. Like, it's on us, right? The whole thing's only 23 cents a day to do Gravy Stack. It's like the best investment you could ever make in your kids. And if you can't afford it, we have scholarships. So just sign up. Like, it's one of those no-brainers for families to do. And you got to free yourself around this money conversation. It's like it becomes a monster if you don't master it at a young age. Right?
Yeah. And I think we've kind of seen, and we're living through the future already. So, these children that are growing up now, whatever age they may be, all the way up to 18, if they don't actually acquire these skills of how to earn money, how to keep it, how to invest it, how to multiply it, then what is the future going to look like? I think we're already seeing a lot of this now in American citizens. Most of them are suffering.
Yep.
Have most of these American citizens been through the same formula of going to school, then they go to middle school, then they go to high school, then they go to college, and they come out? Are they wealthy or not wealthy? Whatever the definition of wealthy is. Maybe wealthy means I could pay my bills in a comfortable way every month. Maybe that's a definition of wealthy for some people. Can most people do that? Vast majority of people living paycheck to paycheck. So right. From my perspective, it's a failed formula. I've had a very unique perspective of working with thousands upon thousands of families across the country over almost 20 years now, for everyone from attorneys all the way to whatever other professions they have, and moms, dads, older, younger, wherever. And the issue is that they just don't have the basics of financial literacy. Yeah. The foundation's not there. They're not learning it at home. They're not learning it at school. And the result is suffering, because you need money to pay bills. You got to eat. You need a safe, ideally, a safe place to live. Yeah. Right. Maybe it doesn't have granite countertops yet, but that's not important. Right. People need a safe place to live to raise their children. Right. So we see this perpetual cycle. I see it. And a lot of people I speak to see it, where you just have family members, you have adults who don't have that foundation. Then they have children. The children are not taught the foundation, either through their parents or through some other means. School is a complete failure from my perspective, which is where Gravy Stack, I think, comes in and fills a massive hole. I personally would send my kids to use Gravy Stack more so than send them to a school. Yeah. I would send them to spend 6 months internship with Scott, rather than go to a school, because where we don't have people like Warren Buffett teaching at the school. If he was teaching at the school, I would have, hey, go to this expert in finance. I would say, here, go to this person in health, go to this person over here who teaches about real estate. right? But they're not there. And there's a lot of issues, as we all know, with school system. So, my perspective is I went to college. I have an undergrad degree and a graduate degree. Almost everything I learned is outside of the formal education atmosphere, out of academia. And so I think the knowledge is available now in the world. It's not an issue of whether or not the knowledge is there. Now we all, as parents and responsible leaders to our children and others, where do we go for that knowledge?
Yep.
Where do we actually go? Do we go to YouTube? Do we go to Gravy Stack? Do we go elsewhere for that knowledge?
Yeah, I feel like one of the core lessons that we want families to get from all of this is don't outsource your parenting. Okay. There's been a huge push since the public system created. Do you know in 1917, when the public school system was created, do you know what the Latin translation was for the bill that was passed? It was like locatus politicus. It was like the translation was in place of parents. It was the definition of the public school system when it started.
Interesting.
And it was built at a time with assembly lines in the industrial age where parents needed help with their kids to learn the basics. Well, that's turned into a monster. And now it's this assembly line education system. It's like grading to the lowest common denominator. Kids have to sit in class, listen to these things, regurgitate information so that they can pass the Common Core stats and tests so the teachers don't get fired, and they try to get on to high school, get the grade, go to the college, get the degree to try to get the job. And, the future of our labor market is completely transformed. Like, it's 10 years, half the jobs in 5 to 10 years won't even be alive today. They're not even created today. So how are you going to go to an education assembly line system and be prepared for that? You're not. And so it has to fundamentally transform. And I think it needs to become more dynamic, more flexible, more personalized, helping kids figure out what their skills are, teaching them practical skills, finding an edge and like driving hard into it for kids to like really get motivated. And if a kid falls in love, trust me, I've helped 6 million families now. Okay. We have the largest school fundraising franchise in the world with Apex Fun Run. We have these children's business fairs we've been doing for 10 years. There's like thousands of them all over the world. We know how to teach kids the basics of money. And if you outsource the parenting, your kids just won't get the most important stuff. You can't outsource spiritual development to church. You have to have that happen at home, okay, around the dinner table. You can't outsource like the mindset of a healthy lifestyle to sports. You have to do that at home. You have to have your kids work out with you. You have to show them good eating habits and good disciplines. You can't outsource education to schools. You have to teach them the core stuff at home. You just can't outsource this stuff. But my kids went to the best schools and the best camps and the best church, and we were always there every Sunday. And now they're 23 and in debt and miserable and depressed and screwing up left and right. Well, what did you talk about at the dinner? What did you talk about at the dinner table? What questions did you ask? Did you ever crack open a Bible, tell the kids what you're thinking about, ask questions? Did you ever, before bed, ask them what value they created today? Like it's at home, man.
Yeah.
This is why our home economy system is so critical. We are fixing the allowance nightmare. Okay.
Yeah. Talk about that a little bit. What is the allowance nightmare?
The allowance nightmare is this. If you give a kid money without them earning it, they will never spend it or save it wisely. They will learn socialism. And so that's what most parents do, is they click the easy button. It's like, here's your age every week. You're 8 years old, here's $8 a week. You're 10 years old, here's $10 a week. And they think that that'll help the kid start to spend money. Well, a kid can spend money without being trained, okay? And kids all have a different relationship to money. And so what you have to start as the core is having them earn money. You can't give them stuff for free. That creates entitlement. That spoils them. It creates actually a lazy victimhood mentality. And then parents go, well, I actually pay my kids for chores. Well, okay. Half those chores should be done for free. You're giving them a list of chores, and it's like, make your bed, brush your teeth, clean your room, pick up the dog poop or whatever. Those are not paid chores. Those are like expected. You should do that in the home for free. That's your role in the home. And then the other parents go, well, and then those parents that pay for chores, you should be paying specifically for the job the kid's doing. You shouldn't be just being like, here's your $8 for doing like 20 things, even though you're only going to do 6 of them this week and we have a fight over it. It's a source of conflict. And then the other parents go, well, I don't pay my kids anything. They're the good kids that do all their chores because they're told. It's like, well, okay, that's good because they're learning work ethic, but you are now paying for everything for that kid because they have no money to pay for their own expenses. So now that kid's not learning anything about financial competency at all. They're not learning value creation. They're just working for free. And then they're probably frustrated about it. So what we created was something to fix all that, which is called home gigs. It's in Gravy Stack. So you sign up with Gravy Stack, you get your bank account, you get your invest, save, spend, share, and your debit card. All the money flows. Actually, we do a percentage of money automatically flowing into each of the accounts. So you automatically save 20%, 30% into your save and investing accounts. You automatically give 10% to charity, whatever you want. You can slide the tiles up and down. So kids are immediately learning, oh, I made $10. I can't spend all 10. I can only spend 6, and I got to start on my expenses first, and then I can do my wants after that. And so with the home economy system, there's 3 E's: expectations, expenses, and extra pay. And if you can cover those 3 things with your kids, then they will learn to be financially competent. Okay. And we automated it. It's an automatic weekly rhythm inside of Gravy Stack. You get a printout for the fridge. So what you do is you go, okay, number 1, expectations. Here are the 5 things, 10 things that we expect our kids to do. This is like table stakes, right? Get up, brush your teeth, get dressed, clean your room, make your bed, take out the trash, do the dishes, do your best in school. We're not paying you for those things, okay? But the second thing is expenses. That's the second E. These are 12 categories of expenses that we've identified that most parents should be passing on to their kids to start paying for at home. Things like toys and trinkets and souvenirs and social outings with friends and birthday presents for friends and like extra sporting equipment. Like, I'll buy you the Reeboks, but if you want the Air Jordans, you're going to have to come up with the extra $60. You know what I mean? So having kids in charge of their own expenses starting at age 6, give them their first like 3 or 4 at age 6. And then by the time they get their driver's license, they're covering everything, including gas and insurance. Okay. Now the parents have saved hundreds and hundreds of dollars. That can add up to like $500 to $1,000 a month, right? Now you have extra money to pay them in home gigs, the extra pay. So then we created this auto-renewing system of home gigs that kids know at all times where they can earn money around the house, 55 of them. And some of them are daily, some of them are weekly, some of them are monthly, some of them are one-off, okay? It's like sweep the garage, pump up the tires, washing windows, making a meal, clean the bathroom, organize a closet, cleaning up the house, stuff in the yard, right? Like packing the car for a trip might be a one-off. And it's just a very easy system. You just set it once and forget it in Gravy Stack, and it's automatic weekly printouts for the fridge. And then every week, whatever the kids want to make to cover their expenses, they just click it off. Literally, it's like check, check, check. My payday comes Saturday night. And now they have money. They're learning this economy system. It's mimicking the real world, right? My friend Jordan Peterson said, give kids an environment at home that matches the real world, and then they'll have the software to be ready for it. This is matching the real world, right? And it also gets the kids to stop asking you for money. It literally, like 2 weeks in to Gravy Stack, kids stop asking parents for stuff, for money. They have a way to earn it. And that's financial competency. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the real world.
That's
That's the real world where you're out and about, you're actually making your bed. And once you make your bed, there's no, check in the mail.
That's right.
When you're in college or wherever you are, you're on your own in your own apartment and you're actually making your bed. You're a responsible human being. And you start off the day being responsible and you end the day being responsible. Right. And you get funds, and revenue and income, and wages, once you're actually providing value to the marketplace.
That's exactly right.
Which I think a lot of people still don't grasp.
Yeah.
The more money you make, the more value you're giving to the marketplace.
That's right.
So it's really important. And so I was going to ask you, like, how do parents and kids get started with gaining these financial principles? What I would say as a shortcut is just go to Gravy Stack. I mean, it sounds like Gravy Stack has everything that people need, adults and the kids, to get started on just understanding, financial literacy 101, and then going further and deeper into setting everything up.
Yeah.
right? In
I
terms
mean,
of revenue, budgeting, et cetera.
you can do, and we'll give you guys a link. So anyone who's listening to this, just go to gravystack.com/MR for Michael Raanan. So MR. So that's your post slash after gravystack.com. That'll send them to a link that they can just sign up right there. We'll give them a little incentive. That's the easiest way to go. Families up until this point that are doing it right. And by the way, we're taking the best tips of like the best families in America. We didn't just make this up. We've been practicing this with thousands of families, and they're showing us like the inside secrets, but they've always had to do like the whiteboard and like writing it all down. Here's your money menu, like, ticket systems and sticker systems, and like kids actually earning and doing value in the home. This just makes it automated and fun and super simple, right? And so this is kind of like the hack, is just using the Gravy Stack system, right? 23 cents a day, $7 a month to start. And if you can't afford that, we have scholarships, right? So if you have the funds, it's a no-brainer to invest in your kids. If you don't have the funds, we have scholarships available for you. Just click when you're signing up and apply for that. But it's, you're also saving hundreds of dollars in the first month. So if this thing doesn't pay for itself tenfold in the first month or two, you're doing something wrong, and we'll cover you. Like we'll just let us know, and it's on us. But I think a lot of it is not outsourcing parenting. You got to make sure that you're having these money conversations with your kids. We're also huge fans of like a monthly family meeting. Anything that your family is thinking about investing in, anything you're giving to as a family, bring the kids into the conversation. So, hey guys, mom and dad are thinking about giving to this ministry, this organization, this charity. What do you guys think? Do you think this is a good idea? How much should we give? Right? What are there other things that you guys want to give to that would be better? Heck, have these conversations. Hey, mom and dad are about to buy this investment, whether it's real estate or the stock market investment or putting it into life insurance or whatever you're going to do, right? Have the conversation with your kids. Hey, mom and dad are thinking about upgrading our home. Let's tell you why. We're going to remodel this because it adds this much value to the home if we ever go to sell it. Just have conversations with your kids. Bring them in with you on your day-to-day. Hey, today dad did this. We do this at dinner all the time. What value did you create today? So here's what dad did today. I helped these 3 people with their families and create these 4 features for Gravy Stack that will help millions of families. And if the kids can actually learn these skills, then they'll be able to help their families do this much. It created this much value in the world. Hey, I had a great conversation with my friend today who was struggling. We prayed, we talked through this stuff, we worked on these things, and I added a lot of emotional value to him, right? That's the conversations. Bring your kids into that all the time. Make it the language of the home, and you are going to be way farther ahead.
Yeah. So you're a dad of 4. How old are your kids?
We got 4 kids, 7, 5, 2, and nothing. Newborn.
Okay. All right. Congrats on all of them and the newborn. So when you have these conversations, are the kids understanding what you're saying? Are they receptive to a certain extent? I know I've had these conversations with my 7-year-old and my soon-to-be 4-year-old, and for years now, and they're more receptive than I would have thought if I didn't even try those conversations. So we do have those family meetings, and they do get it. So you've experienced that with your kids as well, where they're understanding, they're starting to understand money. If you're going to buy a toy, you're going to buy something, they're going to know the price of it as you're checking out, how much it costs, and where that money even came from.
Yeah, they're earning money to buy their toys right now. So they know after they put it in save, they never touch. And anytime they put it in save, we're matching it. And then if they put it in share, they know that goes away to like the things we care about helping as a family. We have our family mission, vision, values. We talk about this stuff just consistent. It's not hard. Like, you don't have to make some big show. It's just simple conversations. And so, they're earning quarters. My 5-year-old's been earning quarters for 2 years already, right? By helping out mom with dinner, cutting stuff, chopping things up, cleaning up, helping his brother. All little things. They earn little quarters from it. 50 cents, $1, simple stuff until they reach 6 and 7 years old. Then it starts to go into dollars and a few dollars for each thing. That stuff adds up really quick. Parents go, well, if I have them earn it, they might earn $20 or $30 this week. Great. Because then you're teaching value creation, and they have expenses that you were going to pay for anyway. So have them earn it. Use that money to pay your kids to then cover those things, and they'll be way farther ahead. My daughter just did her first business fair, the local business fairs that we do. She sold flowers in a vase for Reagan's Flower Power was the name. She made $280 in 3 hours. Crushed it.
Great
Sold
job.
out 60 vases and absolutely had a blast. She learned how to like communicate with customers and sell, and she learned profit because she had to pay mom and dad back the $70 to make it all. And then she had her net. Then she used it to buy a toy. She saved for college in the future. She gave 10% of it away to our church. And now she has like $80 left over that she's using for different things. Right. And she can't wait for the next one. I'm
Wow.
like,
So
aim
how
on.
old is she? You said 5?
She's 7 now.
Seven.
My
Okay.
boy Sawyer's 5. He's doing the quarters. She's been doing quarters for years. And then here's the other trick. They got money in their spend jar, right? They got 5, 10, 20 bucks in there of quarters of dollars. And if they misbehave, instead of the discipline and the punishment, sometimes you have to do like head to your room, let's have a conversation, consequences. But easiest way for us is like, oh, buddy, I'm so sorry. You have to go give me a quarter. And then they're like, what? The hard-earned quarter? Yeah, man. So sorry. Like you made that mistake. Now you won't make that mistake again. And he has to physically go get the quarter out of his jar because he's 5. He doesn't have the account yet. Gets the quarter, hands me the quarter. Sorry, daddy. It's okay, buddy. I forgive you. I love you. Now we know what to do in the future.
Yeah.
So much easier than like the nagging and the yelling and all the other painful conflict that most families have, these same cycles. You just use this incentive system and they learn good behavior, good skills, and they know that like we love them regardless. There's nothing they can do to make us love them any more or less. Like that doesn't change. They're invaluable as a human. So people are like, well, I don't want to just bribe my kid. People bribe their kids all the time. Are you kidding me? Like,
With
what do you think the
toys.
world is?
Yeah.
The world is all about incentives and disincentives. So you can actually use those to your favor, right? You don't want them to be thinking 100% in terms of like material things, but the quarter system is a brilliant system. It's a brilliant way to help kids with like behavior and like learning to create value and then learning the pain of like losing something they earned. That's a very valuable thing, right? Another hack, get a bin. If you have young kids, this is like 8 and under. Get a bin, and it's the toy bin at the end of the day, okay? Any toy that's not cleaned up by the time that they're like ready for bed, like the cleanup time, any toy that's still out goes in that bin. And the only way they can earn it is by doing like a chore around the house, special like thing to earn it back. So you're just saying, hey, it's going into the black hole bin, and anything that's left out goes in there. And so then they will self-compliance, like they will make themselves clean up because they did not want that stuff going in the bin.
Right. Yeah. And that's quite a challenge getting kids to clean up. So that's a really good hack.
And instead of, I told you 5 times already, why aren't you doing this? You guys never listen. You're so disrespectful. And then the punishing and that cycle. It's like, hey, it's going in the bin. Next morning they wake up, there's 8 toys in the bin. And they're like, no. Well, you can do these things to get it out of the bin. And you'll remember next time to clean it up.
Yeah. And they can make the decision to do the work to unlock that toy or not. That's very interesting. Yeah. So you do have a book that I think you've had out for a while or maybe recently. So yeah. So what is that? It's the value creation kit. Yeah. Is that for parents, for kids, for both? And what's in there?
Yeah. So we launched this book about a month and a half ago. We hit Wall Street Journal bestseller, which is awesome. I think it's just starting to flood all these networks. So it's called Value Creation Kid, the healthy struggles your children need to succeed. I wrote it with my friend Lee. He's a unbelievable rock star. He mentors thousands of high school and college kids, and he's had like 9 exits. Incredible, like leader, entrepreneur. He's like another John C. Maxwell kind of guy. He's just an amazing man. And we wrote this book to give families. It's for parents to read or older kids, teenagers, and it's a lens to look at the world, to how to raise your kids to create value. If you just boil everything down, it's like I want my kids to be value creators at the end of the day. I want them to go into the world like fiercely capable and confident to create value, to overcome obstacles, to be able to, and we break down value creation in 3 ways: material value, emotional value, and spiritual value. And you can create value at any time, any day, any moment. And if that's your focus, instead of likes on social media or cool club or clicks or popularity or self-image, and that's what creates all the mental health nightmares. But if you just focus on creating value for your family, for yourself, for your friends, your community, it completely sets you off in the right direction, right? And so there's this cycle where if you go through a healthy struggle with the right mindset, you overcome it and learn capability. And then that capability creates confidence. Then that confidence allows you to create value in the world in those three buckets. And then you just keep going. Healthy struggle creates capability, then confidence, then value creation. It just keeps going up and up and up and up. And so we talk about the home economy in there. It's all the principles of Gravy Stack. It's all the philosophies and ideas behind Gravy Stack. And Gravy Stack's going to be out. It's going to be, we're just hitting the ground running now. We've been building it for years. So we've got our first hundreds and hundreds of families going through everything and loving it. But that's going to go out to 50 million families worldwide. And so we wanted to put it into like a book so people could understand, like read this book, you'll be able to start implementing these core principles to help your kids like really learn to be successful. And when you do that, it actually protects them. It's like the antidote to entitlement. It's the antidote to spoiling your kids or having them be lazy or victims or anxious or self-doubting. The taker scarcity mindset versus the giving abundance mindset, like it protects them from the downsides. And it's just like it's like the laser targeted approach to parenting, right? Is this creating value or is this not? And that's the way we should look at it. And what I think a lot of people don't understand is if you can remove a lot of these obstacles, you have a better relationship with your kids. Okay. So let's take the money conversation. Hey, Dad, I need $20 for this. That's a lose-lose. If you say yes, you're a pushover and you know you're spoiling them slowly over time. If you say no, you're the bad guy, right? And then you feel like it could break the relationship with kids because so many parents end up bribing or coercing or having power struggles or trying to buy their kids' love. This is especially true in co-parenting situations. Kids go to mom, they spoil them. They go to dad, they try to spoil them more because they want them to love them more. If you create this system, it removes all those disincentives and creates like an actual deep connected relationship with your kids. So now instead of kids, kid comes, you say, I need $20 for this. It's like, awesome. Let's go to the chart. What can you do for the 20? Let's go. We can do that today. And they just go look. And then after twice, 3 times of that, they go, hey, Dad, I just did these 4 things. It equals $20. Click here. I look at it. They did it. They did a great job. Awesome, dude. Proud of you. Boom. Here you go. Cover your expense. That is a great relationship. High fives. Like, let's celebrate together rather than a lose-lose. So what we're trying to do is like protect the home, protect family legacy, help parents have a better, more connected relationship with their kids by removing a lot of these obstacles that really just get in the way because parents just don't know the right systems to utilize.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the things I think is really attractive for me is being able to create independent and empowered community. So it starts with the kids. The adults need that. A vast majority of adults, from what I've seen at least, need that as well. They need that guidance. And if they could get the guidance either in your book or elsewhere, I think we'll have a much better community, so country community, and the adults need some guidelines, so that's a great place to get it. I'll put the link for the book down below as well in the description, and encourage all the parents to seek knowledge wherever it may be, whether it's in the Gravy Stack app, whether it's in the book or elsewhere, because the kids are going to learn whatever we teach them. Whatever they're exposed to, right, they're gonna end up absorbing. And we need them because, like I said, we need them to be able to be independent, to understand I have power. If I want to buy a $20 thing, whatever it might be, product or service, I actually can generate that $20 by earning it.
That's right.
And I don't have to sit still just because someone's not giving it to me, whether it's a mom or dad or whoever. So it's very important. I think entrepreneurs like you are going to end up creating solutions to a vast majority of these problems that we've seen: financial problems, emotional problems, spiritual problems. And like you said, they're all connected. And it's an issue because I work with a lot of employers and who are entrepreneurs and business owners. These people can't find enough, employees. They can't find qualified, let's say, employees who can join the team, but part of the team understand the work ethic, grit, delayed gratification, all those things we've been talking about.
Right.
And because the pool of those people are not there in sufficient quantities. So how do we as parents, how do we as Americans, how do we as leaders and entrepreneurs especially solve that problem, right?
Yeah.
Where the tide raises all boats.
That's right. I think you raise a value creation kid. This is we really, I'm an entrepreneur, but only 5% of the population are entrepreneur mind. Like they just have the, hey dad, how can I make money? Where can we go do this? How do we create value? They're just built in their DNA. The other 95%, they need to be entrepreneurial, but they
Hmm.
may not have their own business someday. An entrepreneurial mindset is problem solving mindset, creating value mindset. That's the fastest way to a promotion. That's the fastest way to getting a job from a company. Find a way to create value in that business and add value to that business. You get the job. Okay.
Right.
So
Right.
this is the whole mindset is like, and I want to go back to this idea of independence for a second. I had a conversation with David Green last week or 2 weeks ago. He created Hobby Lobby, $15 billion company. They're the most generous family in America. They give away half their most of what they make every year to charities and stuff around the world. They've helped 1 billion people now. I think they're incredible. I mean, they're giving away billions and billions of dollars while they're living to help the world. And he's one of the most incredible men I've ever met. And he said this thing about the word independence that made me really think. And he said there's a little bit of a difference you want to have as a parent. Independence is important, but interdependence is critical. You want to have your kids connected to you. You want to have a deep relationship with your kids. I don't just want to like raise kids who leave the house at 18 and never come back to hang out, that I don't have a friendship with or relationship with. They move across the country and go get a job or go to school and I never talk to them again. That would suck. I want to have an interdependent family. And you have to raise kids to be creating value in the world, to be able to make it on their own, like you're saying. But I think what he's saying is we have to give our kids both roots and wings. You need both. You want them to be deeply connected to the family, the legacy of the family, what it means to be a Donnell, right? Or a Raanan. Like you want them to really be connected, interconnected with you, but then also have wings. They got to be able to fly. They got to be able to make it on their own. They got to be able to provide for their families, be like a creative force and a value creator in their community, right? So you want both. You want roots and you want wings. So I think this is what, so many parents are like, I just want my kid to be out there and make it. Well, I also want them to be like hanging out and come home for dinners on the weekends or like holidays or live nearby. And I want to see my grandkids and I want to have that legacy feeling of the family. And so I think it's this, you want to be interdependent, not you providing for them, not the bank of mom and dad going until they're 40 years old, but you want them to stay like rooted in your family and then be off with wings, providing for themselves, their family, and creating a lot of value for their community. That's the real vision, I think, of what parents want.
Yeah, I love that. And just imagine when those kids grow up and they have kids. Now you
Yep.
created this entire cycle of positivity, right?
That's right.
Of knowledge, of skills, of capability. And now the legacy is set, right? And imagine if all the families in that community, in that neighborhood, were like that, or exposed to that. And that's why I see this kind of cycle being created or magnified by people like you who are providing so much value to kids and families. So if someone wants to grab Gravy Stack or the book, I have the links below, but how, what websites or how can they grab all that stuff? How can they follow you and reach you?
Yeah. So gravystack.com/MR for your listeners. They can just go right there and click and get the app. You can follow me. I'm Scott Donnell on any social. My team's starting to put out a lot of this content that I don't do much social, but now like we're starting to get a bunch of people listening. So I just usually try to go on every day and share a tip for families. We have this book, Value Creation Kid, on Amazon or anywhere you get books. You can do Audible as well. And then the last one is we have a show, which is our mutual friend, Chad Willardson. He wrote the book, Smart Not Spoiled, for families. And then with my book, Value Creation Kid, we've both helped a ton of people. So we have a show called Smart Money Parenting. And so it's just really simple, 20-minute or less, practical tips for families. Like how do you, have these money conversations? How do you teach them investing? How do you stay away from bad advertising? How do you teach them to save? How do you get a kid to think long term? Like just really practical, bite-sized content for families. So that's Smart Money Parenting anywhere you get your podcasts. So those are the ways you can connect with me.
Awesome. I love that. That's great. Well, it's been great chatting with you. I know I've been on you and I've been connected on LinkedIn for a while. I've been absorbing all your posts and information. So you practice what you preach, and you definitely provided a lot of value in our chat today. So I appreciate that. I know everyone listening forever in the internet world, even beyond you and I will be here. We'll appreciate that as well. So perfect. Well, let's stay in touch and then reconnect sometime soon and talk more about Gravy Stack and how things are going with that.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks, Scott. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah, let's go. I'm unstoppable, do the impossible. I'm irresponsible, yet I'm phenomenal. I got an arsenal, I'm dropping bombs, No, I'm not stopping, no. Conquer the obstacle. To the top, here I go, think I'm chosen to be the king of rock, think the people have spoken. I can hear the tick-tock of the clock, I'm in motion. So now I'm gonna pop, causing all this commotion.
Yeah, sometimes I think that I'm unstoppable. Yeah, ready to go, man, lock and load. That's right, I swear to God that I could drop you, bro. Yeah, I got a shot and I ain't stopping, no. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable.
Yeah, let's go. I don't care what they all say. That's right, I'ma do this thing my way. Let's go. Been grinding hard on it all day. Okay, we work hard, then we all play. Yeah, I'm addicted to the grind, man. That's right. So I refuse to waste time, man. Yeah, one day it all will be fine, man. Let's go. Gotta commit to the climb, You know we're back with the Guinness, setting records every minute, every track. In addiction to the fact that we're winning, still we lack something's missing. Need a track that is hitting, making racks, making millions. That's the mission. I don't waste time, no, I make time. All these people wanna hate, fine, I'ma make mine. While you sitting there complaining, I'll be training. While you sitting there just waiting, I'm creating.
Yeah, sometimes I think that I'm unstoppable. Yeah, ready to go, man, lock and load. That's right, I swear to God that I could drop you, bro. Yeah, I got a shot and I ain't stopping, no. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable.